The morning sky over Nevada blazed with unusual patterns of light. At first, the scientists at the Deep Space Monitoring Station thought their equipment was malfunctioning. But as multiple stations worldwide reported the same readings, the truth became clear: Earth was no longer alone. Admiral James Walker stood at the command center of Earth Defense Force headquarters, his weathered face illuminated by dozens of screens showing incoming data. His 30 years of military experience hadn't prepared him for this moment. The objects approaching Earth weren't asteroids or space debris. They moved with purpose. "Sir, we're detecting 5 vessels beyond Mars orbit," Lieutenant Rogers reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "They're unlike anything we've ever seen." The vessels, each larger than the biggest aircraft carrier ever built, had emerged from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. Their metal hulls gleamed with a purple-silver sheen that no Earth material could replicate. Within hours, every major military installation worldwide went into high alert. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session, and for the first time in human history, all nuclear powers agreed to a unified command structure under Admiral Walker. "These ships are slowing down," Dr. Roberts, the lead scientist, announced. "They're taking up positions around Earth's orbit. It's a standard containment pattern. They're surrounding us." The first transmission came at exactly 3:47 p.m. UTC. Every screen, phone, and communication device on Earth flickered to life simultaneously. The message was simple, transmitted in perfect English and every major Earth language. "Attention inhabitants of Sol 3. You are now entering the jurisdiction of the Galactic Empire. Prepare for evaluation and processing. Resistance is both futile and illegal under Imperial Code 7249B. Admiral Walker stood in the silent command center, watching as the message repeated. "Well," he said with a grim smile, "at least they're polite about it." The next 48 hours were a blur of activity. Military satellites tracked the alien vessels, while Earth's greatest minds analyzed every bit of data they could gather. The ships remained in position, silent sentinels watching Earth's every move. Then came the second message. "Your planetary leadership will convene at these coordinates." A map appeared, pointing to a location in neutral Switzerland. "You have 6 hours to comply." In a secure bunker beneath the Swiss Alps, leaders from every nation gathered. Admiral Walker and his team worked tirelessly to establish security protocols, but everyone knew their best defenses would be useless if the aliens decided to attack. The meeting room fell silent as a beam of light appeared in the center of the chamber. 3 figures materialized. Tall, humanoid beings wearing elaborate metallic suits that seemed to flow like liquid. Their faces were hidden behind masks that reflected the room like mirrors. The central figure spoke, its voice carrying an artificial smoothness. "We are the representatives of the Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our realm. This is an honor. Billions of species apply for membership every cycle. You should be grateful for this opportunity." Admiral Walker stepped forward, his voice steady. "Earth welcomes peaceful contact with other civilizations. However, we are an independent world. We don't recognize any external authority over our planet." The alien representatives turned their mirror-like faces toward him. "You misunderstand," the leader said. "This is not a negotiation. We have conquered 47,000 species across 12 galaxies. Your technology is primitive. Your defenses are inadequate. Your civilization is young. Submission is the only logical choice." The room erupted in multiple languages as Earth's leaders began to protest. The aliens raised a hand, and all sound ceased, their technology literally muting the humans. "You have 30 days to prepare your world for Imperial administration. We will return with the integration fleet. Prepare your resources and population for processing." With that, they vanished, leaving behind only a small metallic sphere floating in the air. As sound returned to the room, Admiral Walker picked up the sphere. It projected a hologram showing massive ships, planet-cracking machines, and endless rows of processed civilizations. They think we'll just roll over and submit, Walker said, his jaw set firmly. Well, they're about to learn something about humanity. We don't take kindly to bullies, no matter how advanced they are. The sphere continued to rotate in his hand, unknowingly broadcasting its data to hidden sensors. In labs across the globe, Earth's scientists began their analysis. The Empire had made their first mistake. They had given humanity a piece of their technology to study. The clock was ticking. Earth had 30 days to prepare for the fight of its existence. 3 massive Imperial ships entered Earth's atmosphere exactly 1 week after the first contact. Unlike their military vessels, these were bright white, shaped like giant arrowheads cutting through the clouds. They landed simultaneously in 3 locations: Washington, D.C., Beijing, and Geneva. Ambassador Thomas Reed watched from the observation deck as the Geneva ship settled onto the landing pad. Despite its enormous size, it touched down without making the sound. "That's just showing off," he muttered to himself. The Empire had sent their assessment team to evaluate Earth's resources and technology. What they didn't know was that humanity had spent the last week preparing for this moment. The Imperial delegates emerged from their ship wearing their flowing metallic suits, but this time without masks. Their faces were humanoid but pale blue, with eyes that seemed to shift color like oil on water. The lead assessor introduced himself as High Inspector Vale. "We will begin our evaluation immediately," Vale announced, not waiting for any welcomes. "Your cooperation will be noted in the final report." Ambassador Reed stepped forward with a practiced smile. "Of course. We've prepared extensive tours of our major facilities. Would you like to start with our renewable energy installations?" Vale's color-shifting eyes narrowed. "Take us to your military installations and power plants first. The Empire requires accurate assessment of strategic assets." "As you wish," Reed replied, sending a subtle hand signal to his team. Everything was going according to plan. The Empire's assessment team spent the next 3 days touring Earth's most advanced facilities. They were shown carefully prepared military bases, power plants, and technology centers, all of them decoys. The real facilities had been hidden underground or disguised as less important structures. In Washington, D.C., the Imperial team scoffed at Earth's spacecraft. "These primitive rockets still use chemical fuel," one assessor laughed, poking at a displayed engine. "The Empire abandoned such technology 50,000 years ago." But while the aliens were busy looking down their noses at human technology, they didn't notice Dr. Anna Miller's sensors scanning their every move. Their suits, their tools, even their casual conversations were being recorded and analyzed. In Beijing, the Imperial team was particularly interested in Earth's population centers. "Your cities are inefficient," High Inspector Vale noted. "The Empire will redesign them for optimal resource extraction." The word extraction sent chills down everyone's spine, but they maintained their calm facade. Meanwhile, hidden cameras captured detailed scans of the aliens' personal technology. During a tour of a power plant in Geneva, something unexpected happened. A small earthquake shook the facility. A natural occurrence, but it startled the Imperial team. Their suits automatically activated personal shields, and Dr. Miller's sensors caught every detail of the energy signature. What primitive world still experiences tectonic instability? Vale complained, deactivating his shield. He didn't notice the slight smile on Dr. Miller's face as she reviewed the sensor data on her tablet. On the 4th day, the assessment teams gathered for their final analysis. The Empire's representatives sat at one end of a long table, their expressions showing clear disdain. "Our evaluation is complete," Vale announced. "Earth's technology level is Category 7, barely above stone tools by Imperial standards. Your military capabilities are negligible. Your resources, however, are substantial." Ambassador Reed kept his face neutral. "And what does this mean for Earth?" "It means your integration will be simple. The Empire will establish automated extraction facilities. Your population will be relocated to processing centers, then distributed throughout Imperial space as needed. Those who show aptitude may qualify for basic imperial citizenship after 50 years of service. The human representatives listened quietly as Vale outlined humanity's future as imperial servants. Nobody showed anger or fear. They had expected this. "We understand," Reed said carefully. "How long before this process begins?" "The integration fleet arrives in 23 days. Begin preparing your population." Vale stood up, towering over the humans. "This has been a surprisingly orderly assessment. Perhaps some of you will indeed qualify for citizenship." As the Imperial ships departed that evening, Dr. Miller rushed into the emergency command center. Her face was flushed with excitement as she handed her tablet to Admiral Walker. "Sir, you won't believe what we found," she said, pulling up the shield analysis. "Their technology has a critical weakness. They're so advanced, they've forgotten about some basic laws of physics. Laws we still work with every day." Admiral Walker studied the data, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Then let's make sure we give them a proper Earth welcome when they return." The Empire thought they were assessing Earth. They didn't realize Earth was assessing them right back. 20 days before the Imperial fleet's arrival, Earth received another transmission. This time, it came with images that made even the bravest military leaders pause. The message showed thousands of massive ships, each one capable of darkening a small city with its shadow. "This is the integration fleet," the transmission announced. "Prepare for our arrival. Any resistance will result in immediate planetary bombardment." In the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Walker watched the message replay. The room was silent except for the soft hum of computers. "Play Dr. Miller's findings again," he ordered, turning to face the assembled world leaders on the massive screen behind him. Dr. Miller stepped forward, her usual lab coat replaced by a military uniform. She pointed to a complex diagram showing energy patterns from the Imperial shields. "Their technology is incredibly advanced," she explained, "but it has a surprising flaw. They'd forgotten about simple wave interference patterns. Their shields are perfect against energy weapons, but they've completely ignored basic physical principles we learned centuries ago." "Explain it simpler, Doctor," the Chinese president requested through his translator. "Think of it like this," Miller said. "They're so busy looking up at the stars, they'd forgotten to watch where they're stepping. We can trip them." General Maria Santos spoke up from her position near the door. "We've already converted 20% of our nuclear arsenals to the new configuration. It's not an explosion we're after. It's a wave pattern that will disrupt their shields." "And once their shields are down?" the Russian leader asked. Admiral Walker pressed a button, bringing up images of Project Switchblade. "Then we show them why you should never underestimate humans." The next 2 weeks were a blur of activity. On the surface, cities began the Empire's requested preparations for integration. Large areas were cleared, landing zones were marked, and humans appeared to be cooperating fully. But underground, beneath every major city, inside mountains, and deep under the oceans, humanity was preparing something very different. Dr. Miller worked day and night with her team, converting Earth's defensive systems to exploit the weakness they'd discovered. "Their shields operate on a frequency that's too perfect," she explained to Admiral Walker one night. "They never expected anyone to use something as simple as constructive interference to disrupt them." 15 days before the deadline, the Empire sent their final warning. The holographic message appeared in every major city, showing High Inspector Vale's stern face. "Citizens of Earth," he announced, "your cooperation in preparation is noted. However, our scans detect unusual activity beneath your surface. Cease all unauthorized construction immediately. This is your only warning." Admiral Walker called an emergency meeting with all world leaders. "They're getting suspicious," he said. "We need to decide now. Do we continue with the plan, or do we submit?" The vote was unanimous. Earth would fight. The next 10 days were filled with frantic but quiet preparation. On the surface, all unauthorized work stopped. Underground, projects continued at double speed. Professor David Turner, working from a hidden lab in Australia, made a breakthrough in the shield disruption technology. We can take down their shields with devices built from parts you'd find in a high school physics lab, he announced. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best. 5 days before the deadline, Earth received an unexpected message. It came from a small trading ship that slipped through the Imperial blockade. People of Earth, the alien trader's message began. I bring warning. I've seen what happens to worlds that resist the Empire. The last one that tried. There's nothing left but an asteroid field. Save yourselves. Submit. Admiral Walker shared this message with the world leaders. Some began to waver, but most stood firm. They destroy worlds that resist, Walker said, because they fear resistance might work. They fear others learning that the Empire can be beaten. That tells me something important. They can be beaten. 3 days before the deadline, Earth broadcast its response to the Empire's ultimatum. It was short and came from every transmitter on the planet simultaneously. To the Imperial Integration Fleet, Earth has reviewed your demands for submission. We have a response prepared for your arrival. It may not be the one you expect. In orbit, the Imperial observers noted the message with amusement. Such bravado from a primitive world was entertaining. They had no way of knowing that beneath Earth's surface, in bunkers and hidden bases around the world, humanity was preparing the biggest surprise in Imperial history. The countdown to arrival had begun. Humanity's fate would be decided in just 3 days. 2 days before the Imperial fleet's arrival, Earth's greatest minds gathered in the underground facility known as the Hive. Located deep beneath the Swiss Alps, it was humanity's largest hidden laboratory. Dr. Miller stood before a test chamber, watching as Professor Turner demonstrated their new weapon. Inside the chamber, a small Imperial shield generator taken from the assessment team's dropped equipment hummed with energy. The shield glowed with its characteristic blue light. "Watch this," Professor Turner said, holding up what looked like an ordinary radio antenna. He turned it on. The Imperial shield flickered and died. Admiral Walker leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the dead shield. "And this will work on their big ships. Physics doesn't care about size," Dr. Miller explained, picking up a simple glass lens from her desk. "The Empire forgot about basic wave properties hundreds of years ago. They think their technology is too advanced to be affected by simple things." Around the world, similar demonstrations were taking place. In underground bases, soldiers trained with modified weapons that looked like they belonged in a science museum rather than a battlefield. General Santos watched her troops practicing with the new devices in a hidden base under the Sahara Desert. "Remember," she told them, "these aren't weapons in the traditional sense. We're not trying to blow up their ships. We're going to make their fancy technology stop working." In secret shipyards beneath the Pacific Ocean, engineers were modifying Earth's satellites. They didn't look impressive, just simple metal frames with odd antennas attached. But each one was designed to create a specific wave pattern that would disrupt Imperial shields. The Empire thinks height of technology is making things more complex, Professor Turner explained to a group of engineers. But sometimes the best solution is the simplest one. They've built their shields to stop energy weapons, not basic wave interference. In orbit, hidden from Imperial observers by clever use of radar reflection, thousands of these simple satellites waited. Each one was powered by nothing more than solar panels and basic batteries. Dr. Miller called this plan Project Switchblade because, as she explained, sometimes a simple knife can beat the most advanced armor. Admiral Walker toured the facilities, watching the preparations. In Japan, he saw engineers installing wave generators that looked like old TV antennas on buildings. In Brazil, he witnessed soldiers practicing with modified radio equipment that could shut down Imperial technology. "Our greatest advantage," he told his officers, "is that they think we're primitive. They expect energy weapons, missiles, maybe some basic lasers. They're prepared for that. They're not prepared for us to attack their technology itself." The Empire's arrogance had led them to build perfect defenses against advanced weapons, but they had never considered that someone might use basic physics against them. It was like building the world's strongest lock while leaving the door itself made of paper. With just one day remaining, humanity's trap was almost ready. Hidden bases across the planet were stocked with food and supplies. Wave generators were disguised as normal radio equipment. Modified satellites looked like space junk. In the hive, Dr. Miller made final adjustments to the master control system. Once we activate the wave pattern, she explained to Admiral Walker, their shields will fail. Their weapons won't work. Their communication systems will go dark. And then, Walker asked, then we show them that humanity doesn't need fancy technology to fight. We just need to be clever. Professor Turner added, they've forgotten that the most basic principles of physics can't be ignored. They built their empire on advanced technology, but they forgot the foundation that technology stands on. In the final hours before the Imperial fleet's arrival, Admiral Walker sent one last message to all Earth's hidden forces. Tomorrow, the Empire expects to find a primitive world ready for conquest. Instead, they'll find out why you should never underestimate humans. We may not have their advanced technology, but we have something better. We remember the basics they've forgotten. Across the planet, in bunkers and bases and hidden facilities, humans made their final preparations. The Empire's mighty fleet was coming, expecting an easy conquest of a primitive world. They were about to learn that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective, and the humans are very, very good at finding simple solutions to big problems. The Imperial Integration Fleet arrived exactly on schedule. Over 10,000 ships emerged from hyperspace, darkening Earth's skies like a metal cloud. Each ship was bigger than a small city, their hulls gleaming with that characteristic purple-silver sheen. In the underground command center, Admiral Walker watched the massive fleet appear on his screens. All stations, report status, he ordered calmly. Wave generators ready, Dr. Miller replied from her station. Ground forces in position, General Santos confirmed. Satellite network active but dormant, Professor Turner added. The Imperial commander's face appeared on every screen and device on Earth. He wore the same flowing metallic suit as the assessment team, but his was decorated with glowing symbols of rank. People of Earth, he announced, I am Grand Commander Voss of the Imperial Integration Fleet. Your time has expired. Prepare for immediate processing. Any resistance will result in planetary bombardment. Admiral Walker took a deep breath and pressed a button on his command console. Earth's response was brief. We choose to resist. The Imperial commander's face showed a moment of surprise, then amusement. Very well. You were warned. He raised his hand to signal the attack. But before he could give the order, Admiral Walker spoke one word into his comm. Switchblade. Across the planet, thousands of hidden wave generators activated. Modified satellites emerged from their camouflaged positions. Every radio tower, TV antenna, and communication dish began broadcasting specific wave patterns designed by Dr. Miller and Professor Turner. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the Imperial ship's shields began to flicker. Impossible, Grand Commander Voss shouted, his face now showing real concern. These primitives can't possibly. His transmission cut off as the wave pattern disrupted their communication systems. The mighty Imperial fleet hung in space, their perfect shields failing against the most basic principles of physics. Phase 2, Admiral Walker ordered. From hidden bases around the planet, Earth's modified military equipment sprang into action. Simple electromagnetic pulses, designed to work with the wave pattern, shut down system after system on the Imperial ships. The Empire's mighty vessels, built to withstand the most advanced energy weapons, found themselves helpless against technology, so basic they had forgotten about it centuries ago. They're trying to retreat, General Santos reported, watching as some ships attempted to engage their hyperdrives. But the wave pattern had disrupted those as well. In orbit, chaos erupted among the Imperial fleet. Ships collided with each other as their navigation systems failed. Some managed to fire weapons, but without their targeting systems, the shots went wild, missing Earth completely. Phase 3, Walker commanded. Earth's hidden defense platforms revealed themselves. They didn't fire advanced energy weapons or powerful lasers. Instead, they launched simple kinetic projectiles, essentially large metal rods. Without their shields, the Imperial ships' hulls proved surprisingly vulnerable to these basic attacks. Their armor is designed to disperse energy weapons, Dr. Miller explained, watching the battle unfold. They never thought anyone would simply throw rocks at them. The first hour of battle saw 30% of the Imperial fleet disabled or destroyed, not by superior technology, but by the clever use of basic physics principles they had forgotten long ago. Grand Commander Voss managed to get one final transmission through. "This is impossible. You're primitives. You still use combustion engines." Admiral Walker responded, "Yes, we're primitive. And that's exactly why we beat you. You forgot the foundations your advanced technology was built on. We didn't." By the end of the second hour, the mighty Imperial integration fleet was in full retreat. Those ships that could still operate their hyperdrives fled, leaving their disabled comrades behind. Nearly half their fleet had been defeated by a primitive world. In the command center, celebrations were quiet and professional. Everyone knew this was only the beginning. "Send word to all stations," Admiral Walker ordered. "Phase 1 of Earth's defense is complete. Begin salvage operations on disabled Imperial ships, and get ready. They'll be back, and next time, they won't underestimate us." Dr. Miller looked at the battle data flowing across her screens. "They thought their advanced technology made them invincible," she said. "They never considered that sometimes the simplest solution is the best one." The first battle for Earth was over. Humanity had won. And somewhere in the galaxy, the Empire was learning a hard lesson about underestimating primitive species. 3 days after Earth's victory over the Imperial integration fleet, Admiral Walker stood in a captured Imperial ship's command center. Around him, Earth's scientists and engineers worked to understand the alien technology. "Look at this," Dr. Miller called from her workstation. She held up what looked like a small crystal. "Their whole ship runs on these. They're energy crystals, but they work on the same principles as our old radio tubes, just much more advanced." Professor Turner nodded, examining the ship's control systems. "It's like they took simple technology and made it unnecessarily complex. They've added so many layers that they've forgotten how it all works at the basic level." The command center was just one of many salvage operations around the world. Hundreds of disabled Imperial ships had been captured, and each one was teaching humanity more about their enemies. "We've cracked their navigation systems," a young engineer reported. "They use something like GPS, but they never bothered to encrypt it. They thought no primitive species could understand it." Admiral Walker smiled. The Empire's biggest weakness was their arrogance. In orbit, Earth's ships, now modified with captured Imperial technology, prepared for the next phase. General Santos had developed a bold plan. "We don't wait for them to come back," she explained in the war room. "We take the fight to them. Their nearest base is in the Alpha Centauri system. They won't expect us to be able to reach it." Using the captured Imperial ship's hyperdrives, Earth had learned the secret of faster-than-light travel. But instead of copying the Empire's complex systems, humanity had found a simpler way. Their hyperdrives use all these safety systems and complex calculations, Dr. Miller explained. "We stripped all that away. Our version is simpler, faster, and more efficient." 2 weeks after the first battle, Earth launched its counterattack. 20 ships, crewed by Earth's best pilots and engineers, jumped to Alpha Centauri. Each ship was a hybrid, Earth technology combined with simplified Imperial systems. The Imperial base never saw them coming. Their advanced sensors were looking for advanced ships. They weren't prepared for vessels using modified versions of their own technology. Their sensors are tuned to detect complex energy signatures. Professor Turner explained to the attack fleet. Our simplified systems are practically invisible to them. The battle for Alpha Centauri lasted less than an hour. Earth's ships, using their hybrid technology and simple but effective tactics, captured the Imperial base intact. The defenders surrendered, shocked by the primitives who had beaten their perfect systems. Inside the captured base, humanity found something unexpected: data cores containing information about all of the Empire's conquered worlds. "Look at this," Dr. Miller said, scanning through the files. "Thousands of worlds, all waiting for someone to show them they can fight back." The Imperial prisoners watched in confusion as humans easily bypassed their superior security systems. One Imperial officer finally asked, "How? How can primitives understand our technology so quickly?" Admiral Walker answered him, "Because we understand the basics. You've built towers so tall you've forgotten about the foundation. We started with the foundation and worked our way up." Messages began to spread through Imperial space. Stories of how Earth, a primitive world, had not only defeated an integration fleet, but had captured an Imperial base. Other conquered species began to watch and wonder. A month after the first battle, Earth had established a defensive perimeter spanning several star systems. The hybrid ships proved more effective than pure Imperial technology, and Earth's simplified versions of Imperial systems worked better than the originals. The Empire made everything so complex because they could, Professor Turner explained during a briefing. "We made everything as simple as it needed to be. That's our strength." In the captured Imperial base, now serving as Earth's forward command center, Admiral Walker reviewed reports from across human-controlled space. The Empire was pulling back, consolidating their forces for a major attack. "Let them come," General Santos said confidently. "Every battle teaches us more about their technology, and every defeat makes them weaker." The Empire had thought crushing Earth would be simple. Instead, they had awakened something they didn't understand: human ingenuity. And now that humanity had a foothold in space, there was no going back. The next battle would decide not just Earth's fate, but possibly the future of the entire galaxy. 2 months after Earth's first victory, representatives from every human nation gathered in the captured Imperial base at Alpha Centauri. The massive meeting hall, once used for Imperial governance, now served a different purpose. Admiral Walker stood at the main podium, facing not just Earth's leaders, but also delegates from 12 formerly enslaved alien species. These beings had reached out to Earth after hearing about the Empire's defeat, seeking knowledge of how to fight back. The Empire believed that advanced technology made them invincible. Walker began. They were wrong. What makes a civilization strong isn't the complexity of their machines, but the spirit of their people. Dr. Miller presented the gathered delegates with data from their studies of Imperial technology. Every system they built was needlessly complex, she explained, showing holographic comparisons. "We've simplified everything, making it more efficient and easier to understand." An alien delegate, tall and bird-like, spoke up. "Our world has been under Imperial control for 3 centuries. We never imagined, never dreamed we could fight back." Professor Turner stepped forward with a simple device, one of Earth's wave generators. "This," he said, "is all it takes to bring down their shields. We'll teach you how to build them from materials you can find anywhere." The meeting hall erupted in excited discussions as Earth's representatives began sharing their knowledge. But this gathering had an even greater purpose. Admiral Walker raised his hand for silence. "Today, we're not just sharing technology. Today, we make a statement that will echo across the galaxy." On the main screen, a document appeared. Its title read, "The Sol System Sovereignty Act and Declaration of Universal Independence." General Santos read the key points. "All species have the right to self-governance. No empire has the right to claim ownership of another world. Earth and its allies will defend these principles." The Empire's response came quickly. A massive fleet, 3 times the size of the first, appeared at the edge of human-controlled space. Grand Admiral Voss himself led this armada. "This is your final warning." His message boomed across all channels. "Submit or be destroyed. You cannot stand against the full might of the Empire." Earth's response was transmitted by Admiral Walker himself. He stood calmly before the camera and said just 4 words. "Watch us prove you wrong." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The Imperial fleet, expecting to face copying of their own technology, instead found themselves against something entirely new. Earth had taken the Empire's technology, simplified it, and combined it with human innovation. Human ships, smaller but faster, darted between the massive Imperial vessels. Wave generators disrupted their shields. Simple electromagnetic pulses shut down their systems, and the formerly enslaved species, using Earth's simplified versions of Imperial technology, joined the fight. The Empire's mighty fleet found itself caught in a trap. Their complex systems failed against basic physics. Their advanced weapons couldn't lock onto the simplified human ships, and their overwhelming pride had blinded them to the possibility of defeat. By the battle's end, Grand Admiral Voss found himself standing in Earth's command center, signing a document he never imagined possible: the Empire's recognition of Earth's independence and the independence of any world that chose to claim it. "How?" he asked Admiral Walker. "How did primitives defeat the greatest empire in history?" Walker's response was simple: "Because we never forgot our roots. You built an empire on technology you didn't fully understand. We built our defense on principles we never forgot." In the years that followed, Earth became a beacon of hope for oppressed species across the galaxy. The Sol System Sovereignty Act became a symbol of freedom. Humanity's simplified versions of Imperial technology spread, giving other worlds the tools to defend themselves. Dr. Miller and Professor Turner established a school where representatives from other worlds could learn Earth's methods. The Empire's greatest mistake, Miller would tell their students, was thinking that more advanced always means better. The day Earth declared no entry to the Galactic Empire became a turning point in galactic history. It marked the beginning of a new era, one where being primitive proved to be an advantage, and where understanding the basics proved more powerful than the most advanced technology. As Admiral Walker looked out at the stars from the observation deck, he smiled. Humanity had not only defended itself, but had changed the galaxy forever, all because they remembered something the Empire had forgotten. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one.